Hey, Austin here. First video I've done like this. I've been meaning to do more album stuff because I've only done Sporkle quizzes, which is fun, but there's not much difference between them. So I'm doing this on the fly. I have no script. I have no notes. I'm just going off memory. So we'll see how this goes. But today I wanted to talk about an album that a lot of people, when they're talking about the Beach Boys, never think of. Like for like even top 15 albums, this album just gets chucked away. And to me, I think it's pretty good. And whenever I see people rank them, they're like, "Here's number 30," and it's this album. I'm like, and they're like one star, 1.5 stars. I'm like, that's not even right. I only think there's only a couple mediocre songs on this album, but to me, I think it's like a 3.5, maybe even 4-star album. But I just wanted to show you guys my opinions on it and give you a little review. So the album I've been talking about is 1980's Keepin' the Summer Alive. Now, this album came out after LA, and LA wasn't a good time for the band because Carl and Dennis were fighting against Mike and Al, and Brian was just neutral. But on this album, it kind of feels like, sorry, I'm not used to this camera stuff. It kind of feels like they got together for one last hoorah, and then in '83 Dennis died, and that sort of paused everything. But yeah, so Keepin' the Summer Alive, 1980. It has songs by, I want to say, all of them. Well, there's no Dennis actually. Dennis doesn't only appears on one song based off my memory right now, because that song is a bit older. But yeah, Keepin' the Summer Alive, pretty fun album. Here's the inner sleeve. Got some cool photos of the band, such as Mike and Brian's there, and Dennis and Al. I think because some of this was recorded in Al's barn. Kind of cool fact. Yeah, it's on Caribou, which was their label at the time. Caribou Records. It's got the deer on it. Kind of cool. Keeping the Summer Alive. All right. Now let's go with track 1, the title track, which is a Carl and Randy Bachman co-write. A bit weird. It's a nice rocker to open the album with. I think it's a highlight of the album. They even played this song live. If you have their Nebworth concert from 1980, they play that song on that concert. Sounds pretty good. They also do another one on this album, and then another one which isn't on the album but was played at the concert around the time, which I'll get to. Yeah, so Keeping the Summer Alive, title track. Pretty fun, pretty good rocker. I like the solo in it, which I think is Joe Walsh, based off my memory. I'm pretty sure it is. And Carl sounds... Sorry, let me just drink some water. Doing this out of... Just popped in my head to do this review. Carl sounds really good on it. You know, I think it's got a rockin' verse, you know, when it's ice cream weather, get the gang back together. It just makes you think of summer, which is keeping the summer alive. Also, this cover, a lot of people don't like it because they think it's kind of corny because it's like they're in like a snow globe, but it's a sun globe per se. It's like the beach and there's just penguins and stuff outside. But I kind of like it. You can see they're all the band. There's Carl, Mike, Al, Bruce, Dennis is on drums, and Brian's in the back on the keyboard, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's a pretty rockin' track to start the album with. And then next we go into Oh Darlin'. Oh Darlin'. Well, I always think of Darlin', but like this is Oh Darlin', which is very fun. Again, Carl takes the lead on it. It's pretty good. I like the chorus, if you think of that. And then Mike comes in midway through and he sounds really good. There's actually a pretty cool demo of it with Brian singing lead, which I think sounds pretty awesome. If there was like an actually like good recording of it, it'd be pretty cool. If they ever do a Keeping the Summer Alive 1980 box set, which they'll probably never do, I hope that's included. I really like the song. It's really catchy. I don't know whoever says it isn't catchy, listen to it and you'll start singing along. And then the third track is Some of Your Love, if I remember right. Yes, it is Some of Your Love. Uh, a pretty decent Mike song. It reminds me of like It's a Beautiful Day, and that's sort of like a little corny, a little basic Beach Boys look like they could just chuck these out, but it's fun. It's sort of like a more basic It's Okay in my head, but it's not bad. It's like a C plus. It keeps the rockin' going. And then track 4 is Living on a Heartache, which is another Randy Bachman, Carl Wilson co-write. That one chugs pretty good. I rate that like a B. I think it's pretty fun, you know? It's a pretty fun track. Carl's doing pretty good on this album. It's already 3 leads, which is, in my opinion, always a good thing. Carl is an amazing lead singer, and any song he's on makes it 10 times better. And then track 5 is School Days, which is a Chuck Berry cover, and Al takes lead in it, and he actually sounds pretty good. And they did this song live too. If you have Nebworth, it's also on that. And it sounds pretty good on there too. So it's another track they would do live and promote the album. Yeah, it's a pretty faithful cover based off memory of the Chuck Berry version. And again, it keeps on rocking. So that's side A. Bam. That's like a solid side A in my opinion. And then we get to side B, which starts off with Going On. Now, if you have any compilation, well, not any compilation, but if you have a compilation like Made in California, this is the only track from this album that is on Made in California. So that just shows how good of a song it is that they actually decided to put a song from Keepin' the Summer Alive on that comp. Because most people just don't put anything. But yeah, Going On, solid. It's another Carl lead. Well, no, it's not actually. Sorry about that. It's a Mike sings the verses, and then Carl sings like the bridge. I think that's what it's called. I'm not really good with music terms, but yeah, amazing song. That's like an A song. I could listen to that nonstop, sing with Carl, have a good time. And then the next song after Going On is When Girls Get Together, I think. Let me just check again. I don't have... Also, dumb thing with this album, they have the tracks on the back, right there, but they're not in order. I don't know whose idea it was to do that, but if you're going to put tracks on the album, on the sleeve, put them in order. Maybe this was like a Smile thing, because for Smile, they just had like, they were like, what are the tracks? And they just told them a bunch of random tracks, not the order it was going to be in. So now I just realized that might have been the same situation with this album. They might have just told them all the tracks they had, and then just rushed out that final track list by the end. I forgot to say, this album is produced by Bruce, who also produced L.A. before, and is now in the band and on the cover for the first time since, like, he was on Surf's Up. And that's the last time he was actually on a photo with the band. I don't know if he was in the inner sleeve of L.A. I feel like he might have been, but I don't know. But on the cover, that's how you know Bruce is back in the band. He's right there. All right, yeah. So, When Girls Get Together, almost positive, is the second song. Let me just double check. Oh no, it's Sunshine. Okay. If I only had one, if I had one song I would love to get rid from this album, it would be Sunshine. Because to me, it's an absolute nothing of a song. And I think this song has Ricky Fataar on it. I think it's like the bass track is from 74, which amazes me because this song does not sound like the stuff they were making in 74. Then again, in 74, all that came out was Child of Winter. But it sounds so 1980 and in a bad way. It just sounds like an early Kokomo that took not a lot of time to make. And to me, it's just like in one ear and out the other for Sunshine. It's so meh. It sounds like something that would be on like. Then again, I haven't listened fully to Looking Back with Love, Mike Love's 1980 solo album, but that sounds like in my head what it would sound like. Like if that was a track on the album, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Mike just came up with that in 20 minutes. That's sort of what I think of that song. It's not that enjoyable. And then the song after that is When Girls Get Together. Now, When Girls Get Together, if you have the Feel Flows box set, you know, it's a track from 1971, I think. Let me make sure. Oh, it's a Sunflower song. So 1970. I realized that, like, around this time, they're just putting tracks. There's always, on every album, there's a track that's, like, much older than the rest. On 15 Big Ones, you got Susie Cincinnati, which was the B-side to add some music to your day in 1970. And then on Love You, you have Good Time, which is also from the Sunflower Sessions, as seen on Feel Flows. And then MIU's the only one that doesn't have an old song on it, at least to my memory. It's got songs from Adult Child, but I think that's about how old it goes. But then on LA, you get you get a cover of Here Comes the Night, which is a 1967 song from Wild Honey. And then I don't think there's an older song on that. Well, Shortening Bread is from Adult Child. Yeah. And then it's got some songs from Bamboo on it. But then this album's got When Girls Get Together. So that's 3 albums, at least, to my memory, where they include an older song, which is kind of like what they did with the Smile stuff. Because, you know, they have Cabin Essence, and, like, Smiley Smile has some Smile stuff, Wild Honey has some traces of Smile stuff. That's just sort of what they were doing at the time. And they kind of just keep that same... And then also on Adult Child, it would have had Help It's On Its Way. Help Is On Its Way. Or Help Is On the Way, sorry. And Games 2 Can Play, which, again, are from 1970. So I don't know why Brian was throwing stuff like that. Okay. When Girls Get Together. So I was going on a sidetrack. Sorry, but I don't care for this song. Truthfully, like, everyone's all like, that's the best song on the album because it's from 1970 and it's Sunflower. But to me, this sounds like an absolute nothing of a song. Not as bad as Sunshine, but, like, it just goes nowhere. It's the same thing over and over and over and over. It's like, when girls get to... I don't care for it. That's the whole thing. Whenever I can listen through Sunshine because it just goes like this. But When Girls Get Together just slows the album down to a nothing. And I just hate that. If that song was off this album, I would keep Sunshine on just because it's so corny and it's 1980. But if When Girls Get Together was off the album and something else was on the album, because if you go to the Made in California box set, it had Going On, but it had no other tracks on the album, but it had a couple songs that were made around the time of the album, which is kind of weird. It's got, where is it? It's got songs like Going to the Beach, which wasn't finished until Made in California because there was no solo, and they had a weird thing where someone could record a solo and they put it in their song. So if you listen to the song on this box set, that's someone from 2013 solo who won a contest, which is kind of weird. And they also have Do Run Run, which I guess they recorded a cover of it around this time too. Which either of those songs I would have preferred better. Actually, Going to the Beach I feel like would have kept the flow going on the side too, and not halted it to where it went. And then the next song on the album is Santa Ana Wins. Now people, again, say this song is so corny because it opens with Al going, in California, we have a wind condition called the Santa Ana Winds, which I get does nothing. He's just saying there's Santa Ana winds. But then the song itself, I actually really enjoy. I think it's very catchy. Like the chorus, Santa Ana winds go blowing across my... It's very country-esque. It reminds me of stuff from like the California Saga on Holland. It fits right in there. And then also, if they ever do an expanded Nedworth, he actually played this song, just him on acoustic, during Nedworth and around that time in 1980. Which is kind of cool if they ever put that out. And then this album ends with Endless Harmony. which is a sort of old song. I think it's from when Bruce was in the band in the early 70s, or at least because they say that. I've read somewhere in like the Wikipedia that it says that. And I could see that for the piano part in the beginning. And the song's sort of just about the Beach Boys in general. But then once it goes to the Carl part, I feel like that's what they added in 1980 and 1979, because it's just around this time they were considered America's band, which they still keep that tag, even though it's not really true to a point. I feel like there's other bands that are more America. But then again, being America's band, I feel like is kind of a thing to take people go like, ugh, that's like America's band, and you don't want to have that like name attached to you anymore. But yeah, the whole song is just sort of like, it starts out with the beginning part where Bruce is just talking about the Beach Boys, ocean lovers who like to harmonize. They're all just cousin friends and brothers who makes their mamas cry, which I think is a bit weird. And then it goes to the Carl part where he just sings like, America, we're your band, we sing for you, you guys come to our concerts, yeah, which is a nice sentiment, but it just goes nowhere. That's the whole thing. I like the Bruce part, and then the Carl part's just kind of meh. Yeah, and then if you're thinking Endless Harmony, I've heard that before somewhere. They made a comp in a movie called Endless Harmony in 1998, which I still think is a weird song. It's a nice title, but it's a weird song to like base the movie off of. Whatever. So altogether, that's sort of keeping the summer alive. I don't think it's a top 10 album. I really don't. There's tons of albums that Beach Boys have that are much better than this. But I just think like 3/4 of this album is pretty solid. Like everything except Sunshine, When Girls Get Together. And this harmony's okay, but the ending is kind of meh. Yeah. Fun album from Caribou Records and the Beach Boys. 1980. Keeping the summer alive. If you want to see any more reviews by me, request any albums. If I have them, I'll do a review. If I don't have them, I'll listen to it and maybe buy a physical copy, because I like vinyl. I have CDs too, but I like the big square and the nice big cover art. Yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.